Staying with the United States, Meta has banned RT and other Russian state media networks from its platforms. The tech company has claimed that the Russian networks were using deceptive tactics to carry out covert influence operations on its platforms, including Instagram and Facebook. The ban marks a sharp escalation in actions by the world's biggest social media company against Russian state media. Meta earlier had taken limited steps against the Russian media, such as blocking the outlets from running ads and reducing the reach of their posts. The Zuckerberg-owned company has released an official statement which reads, and I'm quoting, "After careful consideration, we expanded our ongoing enforcement against Russian state media outlets. RT and other related entities are now banned from our apps globally for foreign interference activities." Meanwhile, in a news bulletin, RT newsreader said that the broadcaster and Russia as a whole denies Meta's accusations.
Meta has banned RT and a number of other Russian media outlets on its platforms, including on Facebook and Instagram. Now, just to point out, RT and Russia as a whole denies the accusations that have been coming en masse against this channel and others in the past number of days. We'll keep you updated on that development in the coming hours and also the ramifications from it.
Meta's ban comes just days after the U.S. filed money laundering charges against two RT employees, where U.S. alleged two Russia Today employees hired an American company to interfere and influence in the U.S. 2024 elections. Meanwhile, RT has mocked U.S. actions and accused the United States of trying to prevent the broadcaster from operating as a journalistic organization. All right, now our correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us live from New York. Susan, good to see you as always. What are you picking on this story where Meta's decision?
Yeah, the decision by Meta comes just a few days after the Biden administration imposed new sanctions on RT, saying that RT has military ties on the one hand, it provides disinformation and propaganda on the other, and it has covert funding from inside the Kremlin, notably from the military as well. It also comes just a few months and weeks after Mark Zuckerberg insisted that he wasn't really going to be, trying to mitigate these issues in lockstep with the Biden administration when it comes to issues of misinformation or disinformation. You may remember that there was a lot of controversy about the Hunter Biden laptop story being Russian disinformation, and the White House trying to convince Zuckerberg, to take these stories off the site. He said he wasn't going to do that anymore, notably on an election year. But it remains to be seen what Meta saw. After all, it is a privately owned company. What it saw that it reached the conclusion that once again it has to go in and perhaps punish Russia or RT in this manner. Again, this election season makes things a lot more complicated than, a normal situation for these social media companies.
Absolutely, Susan. And speaking of the election season, in the past few weeks, we have seen a few statements coming in from Moscow. One being that the Russian president himself said that Kamala Harris is his favorite. And a second, that Kremlin commented on the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, saying that it shows that the campaign is quote-unquote intensifying. Is it common for Kremlin or Moscow or the Russian president himself commenting on U.S. politics in an election year, as you mentioned? And most importantly, are the voters even hearing what's coming in from Russia?
I think most American voters think this so-called threat from Russia when it comes to misinformation is overblown. And Russian leaders are usually asked by journalists to comment on U.S. elections because that's where the viewerships and the clicks come, because Russia has sort of become this big player in one way or the other. There is evidence, at least the State Department says, that Russia and Iran are trying to interfere in U.S. elections. It's just not clear to what extent and in what capacity. Most American voters, I think, have toned and tuned this Russia situation out. And, Meta can possibly eliminate RT, but then there are so many other outlets that are going to provide alternative viewpoints that it's going to be hard for these social media companies really to put a cap on the information that they don't want to get around, in short of violence or trafficking or what else. So I think the American voter is mostly focused on domestic issues, but as you know very well, these are the stories that make headlines. And, it's never a good look in an election year when something is perceived as silencing speech.
Absolutely, you make a very